I am so excited about this new project. And I'll have to show you some things that you're going to need today to complete the background of our and the wall, and the floor. And it's so much fun because with 3 lines you can create walls and a floor, and I'll show you how to do that. When you get your paper, of course, the first thing we're going to do is write your first name, last name, and your room code. And of course your room code would be 1, either A, B, or C. Then you're going to turn your paper over. Oh, and I want to remind you, always write your name in pencil. Sometimes I've had people write it in Sharpie and then that shows through the paper on their artwork, and we don't want that to happen. So what we're going to do is, notice my paper is vertical. That's up and down ways, vertical. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be using a ruler today. We're going to be using a pencil and a ruler to create our room. And I'd like you to find halfway on your paper and then move over just a little bit. That's where you're going to put your ruler. Make sure it's straight. When you use the ruler, notice how I hold my fingers. I've got my thumb here, my fingers up here kind of spread out, and I'm holding tightly. Sometimes when I do this, I like to actually stand up over the paper. Notice I drew down, but I didn't go all the way down to the end. I stopped right about here. And at that point, I'm going to turn my ruler this way so it's horizontal. I'm going to hold that ruler tight again and draw all the way across. Notice the nice straight lines that I'm getting. To create the room, I love this. It's like magic. All you've got to do is go from this corner to this corner, and notice what happens. I am holding tight again, created a room. I now have a wall, and the floor. So I want you to go ahead and do that with a Sharpie. You can actually just trace over those lines with a Sharpie marker. That way you can really see that room. Remember to do your very best job. Keep a steady hand. Oh, Mrs. Kearns does not have a steady hand there. Then, the next step today, we are going to paint. Now, when we're painting, there's a few things that are really important. One thing is you need to know the supplies that you're going to need. You're going to need a cup of water. My water cups are over at the sink, and notice I've got a black line around here. That's showing you how high the water needs to go. That water should never be over that black line, so make sure of that. Today we are using the Papa Bear brush. Remember, that's our biggest brushes. I use mine a little bit, so I'm gonna clean that off. Whenever you're cleaning brushes, I like to rub it at the bottom. I like to wipe it on the side and then dry it off. And of course you'll need a paper towel. The paper towels are over on the door. So when I start, I need my paintbrush to be clean and dry. Now, let me tell you, each one of these sections are going to be a different color. So you can decide what colors that you would like to use. I'm going to start, I think, with purple. When I dip my paintbrush into the paint, we don't want to get any paint on this metal part. You want to just keep it down there at the end. You want to hold your paintbrush just like a pencil. And what I do is I go around the edges. So if I'm painting this wall with the purple paint, you're going to notice I line the edge of my brush up with the edge of the line. This way I'm using really good craftsmanship. Now if I'm using the same color, notice I just dipped right into that paint. I didn't have to clean it off. When I do change colors, I will have to wash it off. And then I'm going to dip in again. Notice I'm going on the outside edge here of what I'm painting. That way I can do a really nice job and keep all of that paint in the lines. Then I'm just going to go back and forth, filling that in. Now, if some gets on the table, no worries. We will clean that up with a sponge at the end. Remember, when you are using those sponges, it's really important, once you get them wet, that you squeeze all the water out of them over the sink. Okay, I'm going to completely paint this shape in. This is one of my walls. Remember, our craftsmanship chart is on each table, and that's showing us what good craftsmanship looks like with crayons, with colored pencils, with markers, with paint. And you want to check to make sure you are doing a good job. If not, you may need to paint over it and fill in those white spots. You know, I always talk about how there should be no white paper showing when you are finished. And it's the same thing with this paint. Okay, so I have painted. I also want you to notice, did you notice how my paint strokes were going back and forth in the same direction? That gives it a really nice look. That's finished. I'm going to rub my paintbrush in that water at the bottom. I'm going to wipe it on both sides, get my paper towel, dry it off. It's clean and dry. I'm going to choose another color for one of these other shapes. Remember, each one is going to be a different color. So I'm going to go with this one. Remember, I started out on the edge. I'm going to do that again. That's giving me some really nice craftsmanship. If I'm using the same color, I just dip right in. And you are going to go ahead and paint this entire shape in. So you'll paint that whole thing. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to jump to this bottom part so I can show you the 3 colors. And then I will complete this sample for you and show you a picture of it. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use yellow for the bottom. Remember, you are the artist. You are going to use the colors that you like. And yours should not be like anybody else's. You are unique and special, and so should your art be unique and special. So you decide what 3 colors you're going to use. Today, your job, here's your job, artist. You are going to completely paint this whole paper. But the wall should be one color, this wall should be another color, and the floor should be another color. Once you are finished with that, you are going to pick your painting up with using 2 hands. You're going to walk it over to the drying rack. You are going to, now you can see already Mrs. Kearns has made a mess on the table. That's okay. I will definitely get a sponge, squeeze all that water out, and clean that up, clean my table up. Also, the paint brushes, the cups of water need to be taken back and cleaned and put back where you found those. And then Mrs. Kearns will come around and collect your trays of paint. Remember, you're sharing the tray of paint and you're sharing the water with the person sitting next to you. Have a great time painting your wall, and floor today.